Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Daily Stock Report for Thursday, September the 23rd. Even though it's a stock report, I just want to have a look at the Nasdaq because, in a nutshell, what's happening is that from the top here in stocks that have been correcting from roughly the same date, some have got 5 waves down, some have got 3 waves down. So the ones that have got 5 waves down are kind of guiding us that if we've got 5 waves down, well, then we'll get an ABC correction and then down further. So that's really what we're looking at, and as you can see here, we've got the A wave, the B wave, and in most cases we're looking just for another sort of move up. I have to have a look at the Nasdaq. I won't go into a lot of detail just here, but just to get the shell of what we're looking at, generally speaking here. So we normally start with Amazon. We normally start on the daily chart, but on the daily chart, as you know, I can't really nail down. I mean, I can guess what the count is, and we're probably at the top of wave 3, like we are with the Nasdaq and the S&P. But if that is the case, then because from this low here, as I've mentioned before, we've got a very clear 5-wave structure to the upside. So I would just naturally expect an A and a B and a C, and then we would move up from that point. Now that's okay, and we discussed yesterday that we would look to go long if we got support on top of the 50-60% retracement level, which comes over to the 34, and 34 is an important Fibonacci number. We can use that at this point for that. So if that becomes support, we will look at being long from that point. We don't need this trade. That's all completed. We did speak about being short under this low here yesterday, and in half a position, then half a position under the level there. But I'm going to change that. We're going to get into a full position at that point, because if that now, if this low is breached, then it creates this as a bearish move. So down for 1, back for 2, down for 1 here, back for 2 here. So we could put that over here. It'll probably need to come up a little bit further, being there, but we can look to be short there, and we can also build in over here. But over here would be looking for a classic trading levels pattern on that level, so on the bearish side. Now if this is the 33 across here, 3,300, we may get a nice clean resistance for that, or we may get the most common pattern where it vibrates a little bit more with the arrival, the reaction, the first low below the level, and then it comes back up above the level and then comes down over this side. So this little pattern here will incorporate this larger pattern as a fractal, so just be aware of that. You can refine it a lot more, and you do the same thing over here as well. So you look to, don't just short that there, have a look over here for the closest price point, the closest largest number, and then look for this whole pattern here at that number, at that level, within that space. So yeah, that's what we're just doing here. We, even though we don't know the bigger picture, we've traded quite well through here. We've traded up through to here and gotten out. We've traded the right move down through here. So we're just really trading, on evidence, or the break of evidence, so to speak. So even though we don't know the, the larger picture, the larger degree of structure, we can still trade quite comfortably. Okay, so Google's in the same pattern as the Nasdaq, and that is that we don't have 5 waves down for the A wave. We have a 3-wave move down, so we're going back up for the B wave and then down for the C wave. This is the daily chart, and we normally look at the tick chart. It's hard to tell the difference between them sometimes. So yeah, we'd counted down here as wave A, so everything's going according to plan, and then we were looking for this to move up. So this will be a little A wave, a B wave, and a C wave up into the box, and then roll over from that point and come down into wave C of 4 at that point. So that's all pretty simple, nothing to sort of see here at this stage. So we'll move on to Apple. So Apple's also got 3 waves down, where Facebook has got 5 waves down. In the same situation here, we're looking for that support to come in, and now we're moving up into wave B. So let's just go and have a look at that on the tick chart. some more data. So yeah, so from the top, I mean, this was the first stock that suggested to me that we're going into a correction, because we've got a very clear 1 and 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the A wave. So having that there was sort of a strong indication that, well, if Apple's going to have 5 waves down, and that means it's going to have another 5 waves down, so we must be in some larger correction of some degree. So that's what we're working through at the moment. So with Apple here, as you know, carrying on from yesterday, looking for the move up through here, so the A wave, the B wave, and then moving up here further. So we're not at the top here just yet. We could have a top. I'm not too bothered about this just yet. We could have one more high here, and that could be the top, right? Then that could come in over here for that. But there's a few different ways we could look at this here, but the B wave could come over to this point maybe. Still, it's going to come over to here, then we've got this extra low over here for that, so it could come all the way over here. But so that's possible. A, B, C, D, E here, so it's possible to have that as a triangle pattern for the B wave there. There's a few little different ways you can sort of look at this, so I'm not that bothered about it at this stage. And even when we get to the top in the indices and in the leading stocks, we still want a bit of evidence of the turn. So we want to see an impulse wave to the downside. It might be small, it might be large, but we just need something to get our teeth into. And it's not that you miss much, because if you get the first 5 waves here, you haven't missed the turn, because you always get the 3 waves back again. So because you got the 5 here, that means we're going to get another 5 over here. So that means that we can do all sorts of things, to go short. So that's what we need to be looking for. So we won't be too far behind the 8 ball with all of this. It's a little bit wide, isn't it? But yeah, we'll just keep working on these, and tomorrow we can look for short trades, I think. Square. Now Square's actually popped up a little bit higher here than I wanted it to as a wave 4. So what I need to do now is I need to look at it. Still going to look at it as wave 4 to wave 5 here of 3, but we're going to look at it as wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And when the other stocks fail, we should see this fail. So at the 265 area, see it roll over from that point. Obviously, if it takes this top out here, then it makes that 3 waves technically, and we have been talking about that as an A wave, a B wave and a C wave, and looking at all of this here as just wave 1 up the top here and then coming back for wave 2 here. But to confirm that, we would need to take that top out at that point. So that's what we'd need to wait for there for that, and we'd have to wait for it under the current circumstances of the market being in this wave 4 correction. So I don't want to jump the gun on this, but let's just go to the intraday and work that. I mean, the other point here that we talked about yesterday as well is that we looked at wave 4 moving a bit higher here, but I've relabeled it wave 2, was the point that I don't think that we're bullish, because technically speaking, it's very clear to see 5 waves in this first move, and then the correction, and then another 5 here. But then the market's come down. I'm not so worried about the spike, but even this one here where the main traffic is taken out that low there by a point. So that forces that to be a corrective move. Now, if that's a corrective move, then whatever happens in this space up here needs to be corrective as well. So then we look at sort of, well, this is the 61.8%. It looks like we've got wave 1 here and 2 here. We could sort of look at this as, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 in here, then 3 and 4 and 5 for the third wave. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third. And this one here would be 1 and 2, and then all of that third wave, fourth wave and fifth wave. So we could put wave 5 here somewhere quite close, or this may extend out a bit further through here as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here and go a little bit higher. So that brings us into group 2. So once we finish these 5 waves here, well, technically then we could also go long at that point there. So, but we'd need that to finish off there first, and we'd need to see that move down because we could also short it here as well. So yeah, many roads to Rome. Let's just chill out. Let's just allow this to play out here. Is it possible to have this as wave 1 here and some sort of ABC for 2 on A, and yeah, looks like 3 waves coming down. Anyway, these are all the sorts of things we need to sort of look at. But yeah, we can't go long, we can't go short just yet here. Okay, Facebook, it appears that we've got our 5 waves down, so we'll be in our wave B here, and then wave C for wave 4 in that case. So just going into the 100 ticks. So, need some more data. So from the top here, as yesterday we were counting for wave 4 at this point, so it did drop, which is nice. Just checking to see if we can look at it in another way as well. I might go back over this here and check on that. I've got a bit of time for that. But all in all, that should be the low at this point, and we should rally, but it's kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit. So maybe this could play out a little bit differently here for this. Maybe what I need to be careful of, if I've made a mistake, then would have a wave 4 rally, which would take us back to this point and drop. So a rally coming to here and then dropping. I'm just gonna, not that we have to do anything here just yet with this. If you are still short with all of this, then take profit here now for that. And I'm just going to copy that. I'm just going to put that wave 4 there, just in case I've made a mistake, and it will make me check it, double check it a little bit later. I'm thinking, you know, for the timing of everything, while those other markets are climbing into a corrective mode, then, you know, they'll be in a bear market by the time this is doing the C wave here. So maybe for the timing purposes, maybe any sort of little rally in here is just a wave 4, and then we go down again. So I'll need to double check that. I know that that's 5 waves here, so that's okay. I'll just need to double check that, see if I've made a mistake in that space. But in both cases, it doesn't really matter. We should be seeing further upside here for this. So I'll just leave that as is. But yeah, if you're in this market now, then take profit, or what we can do is take the next logical step, which would just be put that stop just there, just in case it continues down. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, well, that was a bit silly getting out. But if you just take the next logical step, you know, you won't get the best price, or you could take half here and leave the other half, or something of that nature. Yeah. Okay, so onwards and upwards. So speaking of upwards, we've been looking at Tesla with one more little move to the upside here. So, well, I could have put wave 5 here as I've been talking about, but I think I've changed my mind on that. Not that it's a big deal, because we're not really trading this market. Well, there's some folks obviously will still be long in there, and you know, as I've mentioned before with this, is that if the 800 becomes the support, then we'll definitely be long, and we'll need to see a classic trading levels pattern there at that point. We'd need to see something like that, and that's where we would go long. But otherwise we won't, and we'll also be looking just as eagerly for the short side of this market as well. So let's just go in here. Yeah, so from 4 to 5 here as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Yeah, so even if that's not the case, then we could just probably short it under this low or one of these lows. But let's just take a closer look. So I don't need to go too far back, but I did have wave 4 sitting over here because it made a nice A, B, C over here. But now looking at this here, it's moved up a little bit too high. It could still fail from this point. You know, because this was in 3 waves, so I was expecting this. We had a nice wave 1 here, so to speak, and then it just sort, well, the other markets fell out of bed, so it rolled over and gave us 5 waves down, which could have just been wave C, which I have now moved across here. But we may be going through the same thing again. So this we can still be bearish, and this can just be the A wave here, the B wave over here somewhere, and the C wave here, not making a new high, coming in here, trying to cover the gap, so to speak, and just rolling over from that point. Now, if that's the case, then all we need to do is, we've got 5 waves here. We can either have 5 waves to here or here. Whichever way you want to look at it, doesn't really matter. I'm not worried about the spike there, but that means that we can go short. Technically, we can go short through here. That's where we are at the moment with that. So because if it's, you know, this is 5 waves here, so it shouldn't be breached. If it's going to go to 800 or up here, then that needs to stay in place. So that's where we can short it. Otherwise, yeah, let's just see how it sort of moves up. But yeah, it can die just here. Yeah, it just depends on how you count this in here. I did have a bit of a quick look at it. You can take it to wave 5 to here or to here. But anyway, we'll just keep tracking it up. We'll see how we go with that, and we'll look for the short side, because there's not much on the long side here anyway, unless you're already long and you're planning to, you know, to move out at that point, at some point. But anyway, that's where we are there. So I'll leave it all at that. So thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Cheers.